Hey, this is Brent Jensen. You're listening to No Sleep Till Sudbury, the show where we talk about the music that makes your skin vibrate. And this week, I'm joined by iconic Honeymoon Suite guitarist Derry Grehan. Derry, thanks so much for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, Brent. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's a privilege to have you on. I've been a fan since the first record came out back in 1984. So this is awesome for me. Yeah.
Great.
And you know, relative to you and your playing, Honeymoon Suite, you know, we're always a band certainly that wrote hits, but I think the thing that I liked about Honeymoon Suite as a hard rock fan back then was that there was a balance between, you know, the great melodies that the songs had, but also that kind of hard edge that you retained through your playing.
Yeah, wow. That comes from I think, being a great live band that from day one, we were out of the basement and into the clubs and playing every night and really doing it old school, you know, and, rocking it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you know, in my opinion, you've always been an innovative and exciting guitar player, not just in your solos, but rhythmically. You know, I think back to the first time I saw New Girl Now, the video, and I watched you play that little breakdown that leads into the solo, and I just thought about how cool a piece that was and how unique it is.
Yeah, thank you. One of those quick little riffs that I just kind of popped into my head as I was writing the song, and it's really stood the test of time. People love it.
Yeah, it's great. So with this new single now that's called Find What You're Looking For, you maintain that balance, I find. And I was telling Johnny earlier that like it just puts a smile on my face because you guys, your legacy is such that, you know, your fans have grown up with you, which is really cool. So it's nice when new music comes out. You have a lot of latitude, right? I mean, it's an easy sell for me because I'm a fan, but I love the new single. It's great. You guys must be excited.
Totally. We put out a few records. I think the last one was like 3 years ago or something. We put out a few records, but I don't think any stand up to the new stuff we're doing. I think it's best stuff we've done in a while. And thank you for that. I think the song really came out well, stands on its own, and won't alienate our traditional older fans. But I think it's contemporary enough sounding that it's going to resonate with younger listeners as well, because it has a contemporary sound to it, but still it's Honeymoon Suite. So I think we're going to increase our audience with it. And first time they're telling me that we've actually been on a chart in something like 18 years because of radio's changed from back in the day when it used to be all about the numbers and the charts. Now it's like completely different. So to be on a chart, you know, in the top 10 where one of the other people is Drake, you know, and Tegan and Sarah, it's bizarre, but hey, you know, the song fits in with what they're playing, and it's a great song. I'm glad people are digging it.
Yeah. And it's top 30 here in Canada. So
yeah, pretty cool.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Derry, I've got your songs here. So you've got 5 good tunes. And when I saw this list, when you sent it over, I was particularly excited because I'm a hard rock fan. I was when I was a kid, when I first started to get into Honeymoon Suite. And you've got some real gems here. So let's go through these. You start off with Grand Funk Railroad. Are You Ready? The live version.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you ever had that album, but
yeah.
When I was a kid, you know, just learning to play, I mean, I only had maybe 5 or 6 albums. That's all I could afford, you know, and you just listen to those things over and over. And one of them was back in the golden age of double live albums, you know, in the 70s. Grand Funk Live, that, you know, big black album, and it was double cover, and just the energy. Like, I just love 3-piece rock bands, and I put that on and headphones, and I'd get shivers because that's the first song. And I was Mark Farner, you know, coming on stage in an arena, and just the rush of the crowd. It just gave me shivers every time I listened. I mean, I listened to the whole album, but just the way they opened their show. I mean, I was like, from that on, I said, I really want to do this.
Oh yeah, it's a great opener. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great record.
Very powerful.
This is 1970, isn't it, Derry? I want to say.
Grand Funk Live?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was early 70s, right.
Yeah. Oh,
Long time ago.
it's fantastic. But that was a different time, right? Back then, the Frampton, all those, like you said, the double live records were all out, and they were so good, man.
Yeah, and there were no videos and no social media or anything, so these bands were a mystery,
Yeah.
and you'd hear them on record, and the only way you'd see them is to go see them in concert.
Yeah.
And that mystique was kind of cool. And then you'd go see them, and it's just three guys playing, no auto-tune, no nothing, just really good players. Very powerful.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there when you said mystique. And that was one thing that I really loved when I was a kid growing up with this stuff, is that you didn't know everything about these people. Kiss was one of those. There was a mystique, and you couldn't go on YouTube and see what they looked like and find out what their favorite meals were and all the rest of that nonsense, right? There was a mystery there that really compelled you.
No, and you'd go to high school on a Monday morning, and the kids would be walking around with the Kiss T-shirts on. And like, you saw them? Yeah, man, saw them on the weekend. I'm like, shit, that must have been great.
Yeah. Another great act from back then, Alice Cooper, 18. Great tune. Yeah,
totally. That was another one of my little group of albums that I had. What can I say? I mean, that song came out and I, was just learning to play, or it hadn't been playing that long, and it was something I could actually play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the message, the lyric was so good. I think that was actually done in Toronto too, Bob Ezrin.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a great backstory on Alice Cooper and Bob Ezrin. Anyways, and you open that one up, the picture of the band on the back cover.
Yeah.
Alice was all strung out and still drinking, and the way they looked with their SGs, the Gibson SGs, which is what a guitar I fell in love with. Then you open the record up and there's Alice's eyes in the side. It was just, again, the mystique and the darkness, but it was so cool.
Oh, yeah.
There's another one of those records I listened to 100 times.
Yeah. And I got into this a little bit later, but like as a teenage kid, the lyrics were really identifiable to me. He says, don't always know what I'm talking about. And I like that he just kind of got to the point,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Back when you pulled the album out, that was another great thing about albums. They were big and they had a sleeve inside with pictures, and lyrics, and you just read every word.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was part of the listening process, right? I love that. Those first early Alice Cooper records, the first 6 or 7 are just magic. There's so many good deep tracks on those things too, right?
Oh, yeah. I had Killer and $1 Billion Babies and all that.
Yeah, love it to death. Yeah, they were great.
Back when he had the band, before he went solo.
That's right. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right, your next tune here, I love this song, and I love this pick. I love that you put this on your list. Van Halen, I'm the One.
Of course. I mean, the first Van Halen record, you can't say enough about. That album just rocked the landscape when that came out, and just the fire in Eddie's playing was like nothing else you'd heard at that time, with all that disco crap and everything around.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, You Really Got Me comes out, and then Eruption. And it's like, what the hell is this? It's just so, I mean, that whole first Van Halen record is amazing, but I'm the One is a perfect example of just how on fire Eddie was at that time. I mean, the whole band, but every lick in there is just shivers. It's, it's a perfect representation of that band at that time.
Oh, yeah. And the thing, I'm glad you picked this song, because the thing that's really cool about this is that shooby-doo-wah breakdown in the middle of the song that, like, you were just not expecting at all. And only Van Halen can pull that stuff off. You know what I mean?
No, and that was, yeah. Well, they were just a real combination of personalities. I mean, David Lee Roth, who's just like, the vaudeville showman.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was his idea. He was just a goof.
Yeah.
You could tell they were just having a blast in the studio. They didn't give a shit, and they're just having fun with the songs.
Exactly.
And the shooby-doo-wah, they were probably just screwing around after one of the takes.
Yeah.
And Ted Templeman, who, by the way, produced our third record.
That's
so
right.
I know what kind of guy he is. I know he'd be sitting behind the board going, "Hey, Dave, that's really cool. Why don't you do that chippy-doo-wah thing, man? That's cool."
That's probably what
That's
happened.
the way he was. He'd pick up on that, and he had good ears.
Yeah. All right, your next tune here is Peter Gabriel, "Don't Give Up," and I think Kate Bush sings on this too. Is that right?
Yes, she does. And again, that's the Us album that came out. What was that? 86, 87.
86.
Again, a classic Gabriel album, and just a classic 80s, perfect 80s record.
Yeah.
Of every song just beautiful. And I've been a fan of Gabriel since he was in Genesis. But this album was just sonically, and the writing, it's just captivating. And that song that he sings with her, it's like, oh, yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
Perfect song.
Now, would you have been listening to this? 'Cause this came out in 86, as you said. Would you have been listening to this when you were in Honeymoon Suite during the heyday?
Oh, yeah, it was 86. That was we were on fire at that point. I mean, we were just living on tour buses. And when I hear that album, I think of being on a tour bus, because that's where we just blasted it. I mean, we were blasting Van Halen and everything else, but, that Gabriel record was, you put that on, and I just remember going down the highway on a bus and listening to that album many times.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, just because the mood and the kind of atmospheric aspect of it is just completely different. Obviously, Van Halen. That's great that you were listening to that at that time.
Yeah. Well, when you're on tour, man, it's like you go through different moods all day. I mean, you hit it pretty hard in the night, in the show and the party, but there's also a time to chill, at 3 a.m. when you're smoking a doob in the back of the bus, you want to put something mellow on, and that was it. Something like that, for sure.
Balance. Okay, this next pick is awesome. Deep Purple, "Burn."
Yes, sir. Well, I mentioned earlier that Richie Blackmore was my first guitar hero, if you will. I heard "Smoke on the Water" one day walking through a department store, and I went over to the record counter, and I'm like, "What is that?" And it was the Machine Head, album, and kind of heard of them before that. But when Machine Head came out, again, that's their classic album. Every song on it is amazing.
Yeah.
So I bought Machine Head, listened to it 1,000 times, but didn't get to see them because, Ian Gillan and Roger Glover left or got fired after that record, I believe. Mm-hmm. And Coverdale and Hughes came in. And that was the first time I saw them, when they came through Buffalo on the Burn tour. Oh. I bought Burn the day it came out, of course. And Ian Gillan was great, but David Coverdale, my God, what a vocalist, what a singer, yeah. He was not Ian Gillan, but he was perfect for Purple. Yeah. Because Richie was, he was the tip of the spear musically in that band, and just on fire. Burn. It's like is that their version of Highway Star, which was on Machine Head. The Coverdale version of that would be Burn for me. Just killer. I great agree. Solos, and that's your introduction to Coverdale's vocals, and it's just shivers, great.
Yeah, no, I agree. That riff must have been, I can't remember what year this came out, but that must have been, a riff that you, as a young guitar player, have jumped all over.
Totally. And Richie's a funny guy, because a lot of his riffs are these double stop things that, if you listen to "Smoke on the Water," those are just double stop notes. And he plays a lot of his songs, he writes around that framework. He just speeds it up and changes the order of them, which really is what Burn is. It's like "Smoke on the Water" a lot faster and switched around. It's funny, because I know Blackmore's playing, or, Perfect Strangers, stuff like that. Yeah. That's his style, but I loved it.
Yeah. Have you listened to any of his, later stuff? Yeah, Blackmore's Night. I don't know if you know it.
I have, with his his wife.
The medieval stuff.
I totally have a. Yeah, well, I mean, he's always been into that medieval, Celtic kind of thing. The thing about Richie, he doesn't give a crap about what anybody else thinks. He does what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of influenced by these into that dark castle kind of stuff. It's really interesting. I've watched a number of those videos, Blackmore's Night, and it's really cool because he gets these different instruments, these lutes and mandolins. You know, he plays all kinds of stuff. And it's interesting.
That's cool. I just never explored it. I should probably have a listen to it. I read about it. I read that he just made this crazy departure, but I never really got into it. So.
Well, it's it's lots of it on YouTube. It's different. It's not rock. It's not Deep Purple, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice Celtic flavor if that's what you're into.
Yeah. Well, that is your list, my friend. Thank you very much. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I appreciate your time. Now, I know that it's difficult to do only 5. It's virtually impossible, really. But next week, what we're going to do is you and I and Johnny will reconvene and we'll talk about each other's picks.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So he's going to try and guess yours. Yeah, before we roll that, do you think you can guess any of his tunes?
Well, I know for sure he'll have a Greg Lake song in there or an ELP song.
No, he actually doesn't.
No ELP, no Greg Lake?
No.
I'm surprised. Well, then there would be an Ian Hunter.
Yes, there is one. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a Sammy Hagar?
Nope.
I'd have to think on that.
Yeah.
I'd have to think, but
No, this is
I don't know.
I don't know if you guys are going to tell each other what your songs are, but maybe it would be cool if you didn't, and then you can guess, because it was he guessed one of yours, but only one, and you only guessed one of his.
Uh-huh.
So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, with that guy, I never know what he's listening to. He's got some different tastes depending on the day of the week. So yeah, no, I won't tell him. We'll have a guessing game.
All right.
That'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Derry, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you doing this. The new single is Find What You're Looking For, available wherever you listen to music, folks. Derry Grehan, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I'll talk to you next week, man.
Cheers.
All right. Take good care.
Take care. Bye.
All right. This has been No Sleep Till Sudbury with Brent Jensen, and my very special guest, Mr. Derry Grehan from Honeymoon Suite. Till next time, folks. Take good care.
Brent Jensen is the best-selling author of No Sleep Till Sudbury, Leftover People, and All My Favorite People Are Broken. All titles available in stores and on Amazon worldwide.